All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, day before another Oklahoma football game, week 3. Already OU Tulsa this weekend. We were going to be talking about that game, talking about some of our bets, what we're going to see in the OU Tulsa game. Jose has a bet for about every college football game out there, so be prepared. Please buckle up. I mean, he loves the board. He wants to be able to go 7-6. So next week he'll be a perfect 18-18 or 18-18. Perfect 500, just like the rest of us. Hopefully, we're going to be there because Bunnett's probably going to go 0-6 this weekend if I were to guess. But before we do, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below. And remember, Tuesday evenings, 8:30 p.m. Central, we go live, talk about OU football, what happened the previous week, what we're thinking, about the rest of college football and anything else, and just hang out. And so be sure to see us on Tuesday. So let's talk OU Tulsa. Oklahoma comes in off of a win against SMU 28-11. OU is now 2-0, rolling into basically another home game, but at TU this weekend. And they're playing TU, who they're 1-1, coming off a loss, a pretty rough loss to Washington, 43-10, and they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff in the week 1 matchup. So basically, nothing too impressive as far as their first win. Because most Power 5 programs can beat Arkansas Pine Bluff. So, Jose, I'm going to turn it over to you. What are your thoughts on matchup against Tulsa? I would imagine we generally all agree that OU should look pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that we did find interesting about Tulsa before we started recording is that their running game is actually really good. Their worst running back, I think, averages like 5.4 per carry, and he's the starter, and their best one is their third string, averaging like 6.4 per carry. So they're all pretty decent running backs. Passing game, I think this is going to be the one where the defensive backs don't have to, be locked in 24/7 as long as the pass rush can get to the quarterback, which seems possible with how they played over the last couple of weeks. Run game, it's going to be interesting to see how good they are stopping the run now. They've looked decent, but this team actually seems to be, again, pretty good at that. So I'm excited. Oklahoma should still win by a lot, though. Tulsa did lose to Washington by 33, and this is basically the third straight Oklahoma home game.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's definitely going to cover. It's at 20.5 right now. But the running game, just to piggyback off Hose and another stat there, I think it's interesting how they use that attack. So you mentioned the three guys that are involved. They've got Ford, Watkins, and Jackson, all very much involved in the running game. Ford is the leader, who averages about 17 carries a game. Then you go 10 and 8.5 carries a game so the number 2 guys at 10, the 3 guys at 8.5 carries a game. So they definitely keep their guys fresh and healthy in the running game. They've always got somebody back there ready to go. I guess that's the one thing about the Tulsa offense that is sticking out, and it's worth watching.
And talking about that offense that Tulsa has, I mean, I will say, I've watched very little of Tulsa this year. I turned on the Washington game. I didn't watch the Arkansas Pine Bluff game. But they've played 3 different quarterbacks this year as well. And it's only been 2 games, but start basically they threw out there Braylon Braxton in week 1. He left the game because of an injury. Then they threw in Cardell Williams during week 2, and in week 1 he played. He got hurt in game number 2, and then they brought in their third string quarterback in Fuller, I believe his name is. I am totally blanking right now. But they're bringing in
Roman Fuller.
What was it?
Roman Fuller.
Yeah. He played last week. He played halfway decent, but through further research and everything, it seems like there's some a couple of them are questionable. No one's being named the starter. Who's the guy? you don't know. I'm not sure it really makes a difference in this game. It really shouldn't because Oklahoma should be able to handle whoever's back there. But Oklahoma should be able to take advantage of Tulsa. The defensive line should get after Tulsa. The offensive line for Tulsa isn't great. I just feel like this has got to be the game where the pass rush really kind of takes. You hope to see a few sacks. I mean, last week I think Danny Stutzman was the only one that got a sack. Am I remembering that correctly? I know he's credited for 2.5 tackles for loss, but I think he got credited for a sack. But I might be remembering that wrong. But this is, talking about Oklahoma. I really hope we can see Oklahoma win the line of scrimmage. I mean, they put pressure on quarterbacks in the first 2 weeks, but you just want to see them, get a handful of sacks. That'd be nice.
I was going to say the exact same thing. The things that I want to see from Oklahoma this game is I want to see the defensive line hit home. Like sacks, as you mentioned, like I was just going to say that exact same thing. And I want to see the offense get it going a little quicker and more consistently this week than they did against SMU, and they should. This should be a game offensively similar to the game against Arkansas State. I don't think you're going to score on 10 straight possessions or whatever it was, 10 possessions in a row. Something like that is what it was against Arkansas State, but I do expect them to put I'd like to see, the first 4 or 5 drives go for touchdowns and really put the game on ice right away. And then we'll see, some of the other guys come in again. It should be very similar to that. We should see Jaquez Petaway back in the game. We should see the younger guys in the game similar to it was week 1. Hopefully Oklahoma gets out early, puts the game away, and we see all that stuff that we want to see.
There's a good chance we start seeing some of the younger guys in the early part of the game too. Peyton Bowen being the guy that comes to the top of my mind because of the injury situation at the cheetah position going to the weekend. Seems like he would be a candidate to play, especially if Tassan McCullough isn't able to come back this weekend from his ankle injury. And then it wouldn't surprise me if PJ starts to get more time during this game. It seems like the coaches really want to get him involved as much as possible. I saw a graphic that he is currently the Sooner on the defensive line with the best winning percentage against offensive linemen. So you got to assume that kind of stuff, even though he might not have the most snaps, he's being very efficient and doing everything he can to earn more as the season goes on.
And another thing is that I'm looking for, and I think could play a big role. I mean, not really, potentially losing the game, but I want to see Oklahoma also clean up the penalties. Had 89 yards last week of penalties. In these Big 12 games, playing quality opponents, that more times than not will cost you a ball game. We've seen it in the past where you make dumb penalties, very untimely, penalties in the third and fourth quarters. It hurts. It causes, drives to be extended like last week. That drive that they scored their only touchdown on was aided by 3 different penalties. So that helped tremendously. And I'd like to see them clean that up because I don't think Cincinnati is the biggest of threats, but Oklahoma's lost those types of games where they go on the road and they should beat them. They're a Big 12 team now, and I understand that they're just coming out of the American, but that's the type of game that Oklahoma could end up losing just in the past. I'm not saying this year. But, I mean, you've seen them drop those types of games. So what I'm looking for is you got to be ready for Big 12 play no matter who you're playing. I know it's Cincinnati and Iowa State. You just have to be on your A game because everyone's going to, you've got your target. You've got a target on your back. You're Oklahoma, especially with your last year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Just saw Devontae Smith scored for my fantasy team, guys. Sorry. And, yeah.
I don't think this team, I know we're kind of skipping ahead here, but you mentioned the Cincinnati game. This second year under Brent Venables, how they've been playing, I don't think that they're going to be too intimidated by going on a true road game. Still calling Tulsa a home game here. Overall, you expect it to be a packed crowd. Hopefully everyone's there for Sean Kingston's concert at 1 o'clock Central Time. And then I'm sure there's going to be a lot of activities after the game, but it's going to be a fun environment there.
Downtown Tulsa is going to be hopping Saturday night for those of you interested in shit like that.
Yeah, and looking at Tulsa as far as, you'd like to see also Oklahoma's offensive line play well. There's an Oklahoma State transfer on Tulsa's team is Ben Kapinski. I know he racked up a lot of these stats against Arkansas Pine Bluff, but he does have 2 sacks and 10 tackles. He leads the team. So I'd like Oklahoma to see if Oklahoma can contain him. Really, the trenches is where you'd like to see Oklahoma be able to take advantage. Back-to-back American Athletic Conference teams, you should win the line of scrimmage. Oklahoma has, it's been all right. They didn't look great last week. It's just you're hoping that they really gel before you go in the Big 12 play. But, overall, that's all I've really kind of got on Tulsa. Now we can talk a lot about Oklahoma.
You want to see about as perfect a game as you can get leading into Big 12 play, and I agree. It should be a game Oklahoma wins in dominating fashion. It's a game we're 28-point favorites in. I have us covering that. I want to see us cover easily, like they did against Arkansas State.
And I think it's tough to really talk a lot about the offenses this game because I guess the most interesting thing to me is the running backs. Like as the young guys start to get a little healthier, are we gonna see them at this point so they can start getting their legs under them for, the Texas game? Because at this point they'll have 2 games between the Tulsa game and the Texas game. You got to get them into more reps. At least you'd hope so that they can be prepared if they're going to be major factors in that football game. And the wide receivers to me after 2 games, you can kind of tell the stack rankings. Like Andrel Anthony is becoming the number 1 target for Dylan Gabriel. Joel Farouk, for whatever reason, hasn't really shown out on the stat sheet. This over the first 2 games, maybe that'll change this game. They get him a little bit more involved. So again, he can start getting a little bit of confidence with catching the ball going into Big 12 play. And then as long as Drake Soup is healthy, he's going to be what we all expect Drake to be, which is a sure hand receiver in the slot. He's going to make a play when you need him to, convert third downs. And as long as they can keep doing that, offense seems like it's kind of, we're going to see what we're going to see. Like we're not going to see anything different between Game 1 and Game 12.
I agree with all of that. I'd also like to see them get Big Austin Stogner more involved. He's only got 2 catches through 2 games, both coming against SMU last week. We've seen what he's capable of, and which is that big body in the red zone type area guy. That catch he made against Oklahoma State at the goal line on a jump ball for a touchdown. In a game like Tulsa, where you're going to win, I'd like to see them just throw it up to him. Let's see some jump balls, some fade routes, some red zone targets for Austin Stogner. I'd like to get that going in the offense too.
I was thinking the same thing. I just want to see him come out on offense and actually, handle their business like they should, not mess around. Brandon, I know you didn't watch much last year, but there was, to some degree, it was kind of eerily similar last year to what last week was. Where the offense, scores a little bit in the beginning, the second and third quarters, like, what are they doing? And then they can kind of turn it on towards the end of the game. And it was very much the same as last week as it was the previous year. So I'd like to see him put it all together, all 4 quarters. The defenses look great. I'd love to see him continue. It's just, that's the biggest question with the offense is I don't understand. And they should do it. I hope they do it. But sometimes I just sit there and watch. I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah, the offense has played about 5.5 good quarters this season. The defense has played 8 phenomenal quarters.
Yep.
And you expect that to continue from the defense.
Yeah, but if we start getting into tougher games and the offense doesn't make some sort of adjustment where they're basically only playing a quarter and a half of good football and then the rest is 3 and outs, not really doing much with the time of possession, this defense can only do so much to try to keep this team alive. The offense has to figure it out to try to play at least. Obviously you want 4 great quarters of football, but if they can improve from a quarter and a half of good that that helps out the defense and keeps them fresh for when they are on the field.
I understand it's also like a vanilla offense, and they're not opening the full playbook in the first 2 weeks, and they probably won't against Tulsa. I get it. But it's the same thing last year that we were saying. It's like, oh, they're just not opening it up against Kent State and UTEP and whatever. And then it never happened. It never got opened up. And so I'm skeptical. But, if they can put up 30-something points a game, Oklahoma's going to win a lot of these games because the defense can do that.
If they can't be super effective with this very vanilla offense, once there are more plays to be called on, won't they just be confused? And then you deal with those same problems anyways. So you got to execute when it's easy, and then prepare for the worst when it gets harder.
I agree. So anyway, do you guys have any score predictions? A little preview to the betting portion of the show. Brandon, do you have a score in mind?
52-7.
Hose?
Yeah, I was going to say 55-10 or something.
Yeah, I'm going to pick 45-10.
Hey, all three of us have us covering then.
For sure. So that's a little preview there. 45-10. If it's a 35-point win, I'd be happy. Or 40 plus, that'd be awesome as well. So I don't have any more thoughts on previewing this game. But as far as we can move on to our betting portion, where Brandon and I have 6 picks each. Jose has 13. 13. Good Lord, he loves everything.
Unnecessary.
I've got my book ready.
Look at this.
And all that to go 6 and 7.
Watch me go 4 and 9.
Yeah, 4 and 9.
Watch me go 13 and 0.
Yeah.
If you go 13 and 0, I'll let you make any bet you want for me the rest of the season.
What?
If you go 13 and 0, you can make any bet you want for me the rest of the season.
Deal.
And I'll hammer it.
Deal.
So, anyway, updated record totals. Jose's 10 and 11. Brandon is 6 and 6. I am 3 and 9. So I am not rolling right now, and probably would be good to just fade me. Honestly, being 3 and 9, you'd be 9 and 3. You'd be up big money. So I was trying to tell these guys just to fade me, and I don't know what they ended up doing. So what we're going to do, since Jose has every college football game, he'll name 2 for every one of our 1. So, Jose, you start.
All right, so first one I've got is FAU at Clemson. Clemson just hasn't looked good in the first 2 weeks, so I'm going to pick FAU to cover the 25.5. I don't think they can beat anyone by that much. I'm sure they won by 3 touchdowns or something. They just won't cover that. And then, next game is Penn State versus Illinois. I think Penn State's really good this year, so I'm picking them to cover 14.5.
Yeah, we all said OU over Tulsa, and we all picked OU to cover, so I'm not going to say that one. So really, we have 5 to say, bro, because I think all of us, all 3 of us have OU over Tulsa in our picks. So my first one then is going to be South Carolina, actually, plus 27.5 against Georgia. I understand they're going to Athens. I understand they haven't looked great this season. That being said, 27.5 is a lot of points. I still think South Carolina is a better team than a lose by 4 touchdown team down there in Athens. I'm not expecting them to win it all, but I don't think they lose by 4 scores. Give me South Carolina in the points.
All right. I've got Kansas State and Missouri. I'm taking K-State -4 going on the road at Missouri. I don't think Missouri's that good of a football team. Will Howard and Kansas State can roll. They can roll. They can go score points. And they're a well-coached team, which I don't really think Missouri is, to be honest. And Missouri squeaked by Middle Tennessee 23-19 last week. I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening. I think K-State rolls.
And real quick, pay attention to those Missouri scores. If you listen to the show and our opinions on that. Missouri tanks equals, who knows, potentially Williams-Nary reconsidering time.
Yeah, I'm on the same side as you there, Brum. Because fuck that nerd in Columbus. Don't like that guy right now. Columbia, my bad. Then the next one is Notre Dame versus Central Michigan. I also think Notre Dame's looked really good. Their defense has been good, and the offense looks way better now that Tommy Reese is gone. So they should cover 34.5.
So my next one, I'm going to go to the Wyoming-Texas game, and I'm actually going to pick Wyoming plus 30 against Texas. I think Texas is coming off probably their most impressive regular season win in the history of their football program. Someone could probably fact check that, look it up, but I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a more impressive win than on the road at Alabama for Texas football in the regular season. That being said, I think they're going to wake up thinking their shit doesn't stink anymore. They're going to be untouchable. I think they come out flat in that game against a Wyoming team that beat a Texas Tech team that hung in there with Oregon. There's a lot of things going on there, but I think Wyoming is a decent football team. I think Texas comes out flat, just thinking that they can do whatever they want. I think Wyoming hangs in there. Give me the Cowboys plus 30 there. Is that what they are? The Cowboys, right?
Yeah. I'm taking Wyoming too, plus 30 against Texas. I hinted at it during the live stream. They're going to come out flat, and it's going to be in typical Texas fashion. I think Texas wins, but they probably win by 21 or something like that. It's going to be closer than people think.
So my next game is Minnesota at UNC. I think it'll be an under game. I heard earlier that I guess Minnesota is really bad on the road, and I can't imagine UNC putting up that many points even with Drake May. So taking the under on that. And then I'm on the opposite side of the Georgia South Carolina game. I do think Georgia is that good. Their defense, especially their defensive line, if South Carolina couldn't handle UNC in week 1, I can't imagine they'll be able to do much better against the Georgia defensive line.
We'll see. That's fair. My next one is actually the opposite of the Texas-Alabama game. It's the loser there. I'm picking Alabama minus 33 against South Florida for the exact opposite reason I picked Texas to not cover. I think Alabama is going to come out embarrassed, losing on national TV there. Everybody in the country watched it at home. They're traveling to South Florida. I think it's a bad week to be a South Florida fan, South Florida football player. I think Alabama's going to go down there and beat the brakes off of South Florida. So give me Alabama minus 33.
I am talking about the Penn State-Illinois game. I'm taking Penn State minus 15. Illinois has a bad defense. They were giving up nearly 500 yards a game, and Drew Aller and Penn State's going to roll. And Illinois' defense is not good. They look bad against Kansas as well.
So my next ones are Colorado State and Colorado. I think Colorado kicks their ass by lines 23.5. They've made it look easy the first 2 games against bad teams, and I don't think this one would be any different. It's still Colorado versus a bad team. Then I know we covered that we all think Oklahoma will cover. I also took the over on that game of 60.5. And then the last one for this round, my weekly bet, Iowa under.
I love that. So my next one's going to be Tennessee minus 6 against Florida. I just hate Florida. I think they suck. They're garbage. But I think Tennessee goes and beats them by at least a touchdown there. Florida lost to a Utah team that didn't have Cam Rising, and then played a very competitive game with the Baylor team that lost to Texas State. I don't think Florida is going to be very competitive in that game. Give me Utah. Or not Utah. Give me Tennessee.
Give you Utah. I'm Iowa, Western Michigan. I got burned last week as I made the bet on the over for the total. I said that this is the wrong way, but it's just how can you go below 36 points or whatever it was, and they did. So Iowa, Western Michigan, I'm taking under 42. If they can't score 36 against the Cyclones total, they're not scoring 42 against Western Michigan, and Western Michigan will probably put up 6-7 points maybe.
My next one is Washington at Michigan State. Michigan State, we all know, has fired Mel Tucker, so I can't imagine it's a very stable situation up there. So I'm going to take Washington minus 17. Then my next one is Tennessee versus Florida, same as Brandon. Florida kind of sucks. The fact that it's only 6.5 seems crazy. That'd probably be more like 10-point win.
Yeah, I agree there. And I think my last one is with you guys again. I've got Kansas State over Missouri -4. Missouri's not very good. Kansas State is pretty good. I think it's that easy. Kansas State can easily cover 4.
And then my last one is Western Kentucky and Ohio State. Ohio State has had a little bit of an issue with scoring. It seems like they're still figuring out with Kyle McCord. Give me Western Kentucky plus 30. That's a lot of points. I think Ohio State wins comfortably, but 30 points is a lot of points.
It is. My last one is Hawaii at Oregon. Oregon -38.5.
Go Rainbow Warriors. I hope they lose by 37.
That would break my heart. Oregon scored 81 week 1, and Hawaii is really bad.
So, Jose, you live in a state where you can actually gamble. You made 13 bets. Do you actually put money on them?
I'll probably put money on like
I thought
8 or 9 of them.
board.
I do love the board when there's no money on the line, but then I gotta cut it down to like 8 or 9 when real money's on the line.
That's money on 9 games. That's so crazy.
Yeah, like
what are your
if there was one like not much. Like if there was one that I would definitely like probably not take when there's real money is UNC Minnesota. The off chance they score like 51, 52, because it seems like that could happen when it's at home. Maybe UNC wants to like show out against their home crowd. Clemson, maybe they figure it out on offense and it's at home. So that'd probably be one I wouldn't take with real money. Oh, man. And then maybe the Oklahoma over, just in case they decide to take their foot off the gas and they score like 59 total.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I was just curious. So that's all I've got. Do you guys have anything else? No? All right. Well, Brandon, in a video challenge it.
Yeah, OUTU. Drop your score predictions if you'll be there. Check it out. Brum could be there. We don't know yet. Maybe up in the air.
I'm not.
He's not going to be in attendance. But yeah, your OUTU scores, projections, and again, if you want to share your picks with us, it'd be cool to see that.
Yeah, do that. Be sure to like, subscribe, turn that notification bell on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below, and we will catch you guys next time. Be sure to jump on for the Tuesday live stream at 8:30 p.m. Central.